and they are joined by another Chicago-based law firm that has Rothschild in the name and is working with the U.S. officials as they prepare to review turnaround plans being readied by the two struggling automakers.
Well, there's just no end to it, and it is not going to work, and they won't get their money back. And, that's not the way to solve the problem. You solve it by purging the system. You don't have to do it all in 1 week. I mean, you can start taking things apart piece by piece. But they got to be taken apart. All this unpayable debt has to be gotten rid of.
According to the New American Magazine in its article, Russia's puzzling role in Afghan theater, dated February 6th, explained the cunning of Russians who unexpectedly offered the U.S. new ways to send American troops to Afghanistan when, after the intrigues of Russia, the U.S. air base in Kyrgyzstan was closed. The magazine points out that the aim of the Russians is to weaken and to destroy the U.S. in Afghanistan. Any comments on that, Robert?
The people who run Kyrgyzstan are diabolical crooks. And they're always asking for more money for the bases there. They've been doing it every year. And if you'll lay the information out for them, they won't go into it. But I lost my train of thought. Give me the question again.
Oh, let's see how fast I can get back to this question.
I was distracted by something.
According to the New American Magazine in its article, Russia's puzzling role in Afghan theater explained the cunning of Russians who unexpectedly offered the U.S. new ways to send American troops to Afghanistan when, after the U.S. Air Force, where the U.S. Air Base in Kyrgyzstan was closed. The magazine points out that the aim of the Russians is to weaken and destroy the U.S. in Afghanistan.
Oh, I think that's in their best interest to do so. We spent a long time doing that to them, and Charlie Wilson's war, and so they're playing comeback. And the people who run Kurdistan are among the most barbaric in the world. They don't like somebody and they've done something, they cook them in oil. Shades of Genghis Khan. But that was coming. The high-handed attitude of the American administration really pushed those barbarians into the arms of Russia. And it's gone, it's lost, and they're not going to get it back. And they're just going to have to do something else. And so Russia is really playing good guy, bad guy here. They forced the issue, and now they have a solution, and which I think is rather smart, cute, if you may. But, America deserved it. I mean, look what they were doing. Thank you. I mean, they're putting missiles in Poland and radar in the Czech Republic to tell Russia, look, you mess with us, the game's over. Well, wait a minute now. That's really not the right thing to do. Russia hadn't been making any demonstrative moves against the United States or anything about the United States. I mean, generally speaking, they've been doing their own thing. I mean, there's always a subliminal effort to make your possible adversaries, whether they're just competitors or enemies, weaker. And we've done it for years. Well, it's just a little bit of what we were doing. And so I don't find it unusual at all. And you're going to see more of it. Ukraine has got to smarten up. Ukraine is one of the bigger parts of a possible Russia, and they're contiguous, and there's a very large colony of Russians that live in Ukraine. But anyway, I think they're the next ones that are going to succumb. And but then again, why do we have the opposition to and quest to join NATO from those countries that are near to Russia that were in the former Soviet Union? Well, because we went over and started the Pink Revolution, the Orange Revolution. We were aggressively against Russia in their own backyard. I mean, if Russia did that with Canada, and Canada agreed to do that, how would the U.S. like it? I don't think they'd like it at all. Or, you know, give Cuba its independence, and then maybe Cuba might say, no, you know, we're not going to do that, or whatever the U.S. asks them to do or demands that they do. You know, if you haven't lived outside the country for years like I have, you don't understand how other governments work, how other people think, and what nasty people our State Department and our government and our Congress have been to other people. You know, people out in the world, they like Americans. The average American, they think he's a terrific guy, terrific lady. But the government and big business, they hate them. You know, they get between 80 and 90% unfavorable ratings. I mean, it can't be any more obvious. And so it's something that we've built up. Ugly American, it fits. Always has. It's one of the reasons I didn't stay in counterintelligence for the government, because I found out they were doing lots of nasty things they were lying about. And I didn't like that. Porter Goss was in my outfit. He became the head of the CIA. Can you imagine what would have happened if I'd stayed in? And I was smarter than he was. You know, I might have been George Bush's assistant. Anyway, I'm glad I left. I had a conversation with someone the other day who knew someone who I had been in with. And that someone worked in the State Department for 30 years. And I was told by the party I talked to that he had dinner with this fellow last year. And the fellow seemed very interested in what they were doing. They want to issue currency in the form of a capsule with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 grains of gold in the capsule. Pretty novel idea. So I get very interested in it. I told them, look, you know, fill me in more on this thing. And we got to talking, and you know, he had a lot in common. He was a retired professor, and so I think something might come of that.
What type of a capsule?
Well, it would probably look like the capsule that's used, and maybe I'm all wrong, I'm just guessing here, used to put the Mint State graded coins in. But then how I think of it, I think it's maybe a bill with a sort of a plastic capsule on the bill with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 grains of gold in it.
Well, you know what's interesting, Bob, is someone just mentioned to me, I don't know, this was maybe a month ago, about the new dollar bills versus the old dollar bills. And supposedly the new dollar bills is, you know, when they inject the inject you with a chip, that would have gold in it or something like that, if I remember correctly. So, and that they would eliminate the old dollars would still circulate, but they wouldn't be attached to gold. It would only be the new dollar bills that they're reprinting and, changing the design and everything on, that it was just those.
Well, no one would want the old ones, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think, the way that devaluation is coming about